My name is Martin Cízler. I'm the VP Engineering at Make, and me and my team, we built the AI-first workflow automation platform that you are hopefully familiar with and happily use to make your life happier and get rid of tedious work. Today, we are going to make it agentic, right? We live in an interesting period of time where AI is pervasive, is all around us. And some people fear that, it's going to take our jobs and it's going to replace us. But also, it gives us superpowers, right? It makes things possible that were not possible before. And I have a hunch that today we will hear about the bright side of AI a lot. We have 3 punchy talks ready for you, 4 amazing speakers, and you're gonna hear about AI agents, what they are made of, how to quickly prototype using AI agents. We're gonna learn interesting things about agentic economy and whether agents can actually participate in commercial transactions eventually. And also, and that's going to be the first talk, you'll hear about the amazing opportunities that AI creates for creators, which I guess most of you are. Now, before we start, I would like to do a little bit of show of hands in order to, get to know you, right? Because, you know who I am. I'm no longer an anonymous talking head, and I would be curious who made it. So, founders, are there any founders today in the audience? Okay, a couple. That's great. Engineers, or specifically AI engineers, are you building product? Nice, decent, awesome. Okay, automation builders. Somebody who is using, no code, low code for automation. Yeah, some. Product people. Okay, that's a lot of product people, and you do a lot of things, right? Okay, and some executives or leaders. Yeah, a little bit like a shy in the back. Okay, awesome. Thank you. That's great. Now, let's talk logistics, right? We have 3 talks. I mentioned that. And you will have an opportunity to also interact with the speakers. There will be Q&A. Now, we will collect questions on Slido. There is a QR code, so please, scan that if you want to ask questions. We will do Q&A at the end. So first, you will hear, from the 4 speakers, and then we'll do a Q&A session. I have a little ask for you. If you submit a question, please start with a number of the talk. It's going to help us then actually direct the questions to the right speaker. So just put 1 for the first talk, and etc. You get the point, and then ask your questions. There is a special surprise. The question that gets the most upvotes will actually get an exclusive package of Make swag. So if you ask a very smart question or a challenging question, you can get some nice stuff. And by the way, we have custom-made, locally made, pretty high-quality swag. It's clothes and other things, so it's pretty nice. Okay, and once we're done with the Q&A, there will be networking, beers, meals, and all the jazz that you are used to. So without further ado, let me introduce the first speaker, who is Filip Dřímalka. Filip is an AI expert, and now I'm going to use my second brain, it's very analog, and consultant. He is an author of 2 books. You may know them. The first one is called How to Succeed in Digital World, and the second one, more recent one, is The Future of No Work. Interesting. And what we are going to hear about, is this the golden age of creators, and what superpowers is AI giving to us? Let's hear from Filip. Thank you.
Hey, hi. Thank you very much. My name is Filip, and I founded 2 companies, DigiSkills and now Ability. So what we do is we are helping organizations with AI adoption. So we work mainly with mid-sized companies, large corporations. And when you ask if there are any leaders, I think leaders should hear about this more, because I think people have no idea, especially in the big companies, what is actually happening. So I will talk a little bit about that. And I also run many programs where I meet hundreds of people and I see how they work with AI, what they are building and what they are working on. I also wrote a book, The Future of No Work. Now we sold the rights to a couple of countries to Vietnam, South Korea, India, States, and so on. And it's interesting that it's about AI. It's almost 3 years old, but everything is valid. And I think, it's even more valid now than 3 years ago. So I'm quite happy that I don't have to update it that much, because it's more about the principles. Some booksellers put it to the shelf, and I ask AI to translate it for you. So booksellers think that the book is about like doom saying about the impact of AI. So they put it next to the books like Sport is Pain and God is Dead. But the whole no work concept is about working on something that we enjoy, that we like, and we are using AI. We give AI vision and we orchestrate the outputs so the work doesn't look like work at all. And this is exactly my approach to AI. So many people talk about AI as about a tool for automation, and all consultancy companies sell clients that we will get rid of the routine stuff. But I like the opposite. I like AI as a tool for building better products, better services, and basically doing better work. But first, the ugly truth. So what is the reality in the companies we work with? Agents are everywhere. So everybody's talking about agents. Nobody saw them. Nobody saw them in the production. Everybody's seeing all these, pictures at Twitter, like all these agentic workflows at Make and so on, but still people do all the work. So we need to manage expectations a lot, because many companies, they expect that agents will basically resolve all their issues and problems, but they won't. Another issue is that some organizations don't provide their people with good tools. So many 500 plus companies, they only allow people to use Copilot. And some of them, they don't even allow them to use, even that one. So people think that this is AI. And then they are surprised that there are better tools. And this is also valid for automation. So in most large companies, they work with Power Automate and so on. And who works with Power Automate? Okay, 1, 2, yeah. So this is it basically. It's not that good, and it's very hard for people, for normal users, to learn how to build automations and work with AI in these tools. The biggest trouble is that most C-level people, managers, they are not using AI at all. So they don't feel the sense of urgency, and they don't know what are the possibilities and limitations. And this is what we are trying to fight. And the ultimate goal is that all the people are busy all the time. And we know that this requires experimentation a lot. Actually, experimentation is number one predictor if someone becomes power user or not. I'm not from IT, I'm not automating, I'm not patient enough, but I'm gonna show you how I use AI. And one of the advantages that I really enjoy is that we work with the best tools that exist. And I'm sure that it's also your case. But I think the mediocre tools are the biggest danger, because people think that they work with really great tool, and it's not working here and there, and it's limited and so on, because you see if the tool is good or not. But if it's mediocre, that you don't see it immediately. And this is, again, something that we try people to teach. So what we are doing is that we see that AI is company-wide initiative, and that requires that all people, and especially power users, need to exist within each department. So I say that we need to have chief digital officer in HR, in sales, in after sales, and so on. And this is tough, because people don't have capabilities to do that. Also, we need to manage expectations, because everybody is selling agents and ideas and things that basically don't exist, or don't exist, to be useful enough. And also we see that many people don't think about their work as about a process or workflow, and they are not thinking in systems. And again, we will see that many people will be managing agents and so on, but I will talk mostly about automations with AI. This cannot be bypassed. So I think that using AI is 90% mindset. and I'm going to show you a couple of examples from my practice, and then 10% skills. And again, people don't have that. So yeah, I'm optimistic, but what I see is that so many people will be in trouble because we talk about upskilling and reskilling, but people think that it will be somewhere in the future. But it is already happening. And what we see is that the gap between people and organization is growing so fast. So we talk with our clients about hiring strategy, how to find people like you who are visiting such events and playing with Make and so on. And also the companies will have a trouble because if there will be talented people and they will come to a company who says, no, we don't have any low-code tool. Okay, here is the Copilot. And if you want anything else, no, it's forbidden. Maybe you should use your phone, to forward messages from Claude to the work computer. So we will see this gap happening. We use automations a lot. We use everything, Relay, Make, Nathan. As I said, I'm not patient enough. So it's basically these are workflows from my colleagues. If you want to talk about what we do, I have my colleague Thomas there. But I'm going to show you how I use AI because this is exactly how I think the work will look like in the future. When I say it's about mindset, what I found out is that there are two ways how to think about AI. But first, you need to basically understand exactly where to use it. So for me, AI mindset means that I can imagine every single step that I can use AI for. And if I can imagine that for manual work, I can imagine that for automation. But also, I always talk about how to use AI at work, means at the core what do we do, but also at the edge. But if you want to embed AI in process or product, again, you need to be the power user. So even though organizations are thinking how to embed AI in customer service and so on, they are not thinking AI. So I'm going to give you one example. When we started to collaborate with Thomas, we had a video call and it was amazing. We had like 90 minutes discussion of what we can do with our new product, AI agent Amy. And after the call finished, I said, this is amazing. I just want to work with these people. I don't want to work with anyone else, just people with this kind of mindset. So I just took the transcript and I built a pretty long prompt that analyzed our discussion and described what does AI mindset really mean. So when I got the output, I built a couple of things. First, the description of how people should think about their work, then some methodology, how we could assess and identify this kind of mindset and skills, and then prompt to basically find out with our agent. And I just sent it, it took me like 10 minutes. I sent it to Tom, and the next day we had a chatbot that talked to you and assessed if you have this kind of a mindset. And now we are offering that to our clients. So that was from idea to execution in 24, 48 hours. And this is the AI mindset that everything is a prompt, everything is a concept, but not everybody's thinking like this. So this is exactly what I'm talking about when I say that we live in the golden age of creators. And we see that. We see that people who have expertise in their field, and then they add the AI skill, they can do much more. And I'm not talking about just innovation in terms of working faster and automating stuff, but also building better products and doing better marketing. So how I use AI, I use Cursor and Claude a lot. Basically now I work with Cursor like 80% of my time, and I use it for data analytics, market research, and so on. Cursor is great. Who is using Cursor? Okay, yeah, great. I'm not using it for programming at all. But I think this is the future of knowledge work because I have it connected to tools like Firecrawl and SERP search and so on. So if I do market research, if I do anything else, if I want to organize my second digital brain in Notion, I just use these agentic workflows because they just work for me. So for me, Cursor is the future of knowledge work. And I found out, and we have these discussions almost every single day, that we're just now asking it almost everything. I have my avatar in HeyGen, and we wanted to update my voice in 11 labs. And in our company, everybody is using Cursor, even now my personal assistant. And if you want to get the professional voice in 11 labs, you should upload 30 minutes of your voice from podcast. But I had only interviews. So it was just one single prompt to Cursor to cut and trim the voice of me in the sound. And he just, looked for the script and built it and took like 7 minutes to do that. Last week, I wanted to personalize all my LinkedIn contacts. So it was about 18,000 contacts. So I talked with Claude about the prompt because I like to write, comprehensive prompts. And then again, I asked the Cursor, and it took 8 hours for the script to run. And then I have personalized LinkedIn messages, and I'm now selling one of my courses. So I'm just working with Cursor a lot, and this is exactly why, if you have good ideas and so on, and you have these tools, you can do almost anything. And I'm going to give you one example because one of our products that we are working on is called Amy. Amy is a virtual consultant that helps people, organizations to adopt AI. And one of the first skills of Amy is analysis of opportunities. So basically, imagine you have a company like NN or O2, and they want to find out what people work on and how people work. So before, you needed to have some consultants doing some workshops, talking with people about their processes. And now we have Amy. She talks with people about 15, 20 minutes about their work, projects, goals, their workflows. And then we take all these data and we create analytics. We say, okay, so these people have similar processes, similar workflows. You can use AI for this and local for that. And now it takes a week, even for a company with 500 people. And the next phase is that we want Amy to be coach of each person, to lead her through the AI and so on, and also for managers to be able to ask questions like where what people are working on and how they use AI and so on. And we needed to put together my and my colleagues' knowledge, because I think that in the future you will just need two things: prompt and context. And this is something that people and organizations struggle with, to document their knowledge and expertise and domains. They have it in their heads. So I spent 1 day or 1.5 days with documenting my knowledge. So how I did that? I created a presentation with the results of one of the analysis. So I took the presentation that I built myself, and I created a prompt for reverse engineer. And then I uploaded the presentation, and I reverse engineered how the analysis work, what are the key features, advantages, and benefits. And that was amazing. That was really gave us so many ideas how to market it, how to sell it. Then what I did is that I started to build the second digital brain of that service. Not only the description and goals and so on, but also some, decision making of Amy, decision making of me, how I work, how I think, and so on. I started to do everything just in Markdown, and I started to build this context. Then I analyzed all the conversations, some with the Notebook LM, some with Claude, some with ChatGPT, and it was great because it led me to more ideas how we could improve not only the service, but also the prompt for Amy, for that agent. Then I again analyzed. Sometimes what I do is that I send the same prompt to more models to see, how they work with the information I give it. And then I built the simple automation, and I analyzed again, 50, 60 conversations with 2 prompts, 2 models, and I combined everything. I visually checked the outputs, because we always talk about not evals in terms of having it automatic evals, but we want to see the outputs of the agents and what how we could improve the prompt. I even vibe coded some tools so I could check it visually, and then I did a human agent. So I said, okay, so let's try to behave like Amy, and let's do a couple of conversations like the best consultant would do. So I acted like Amy, and I did the analysis with a couple of my friends and colleagues, and then we again reverse engineered the style, the tone of voice, how Amy is asking questions and so on. And that was amazing, because again, it helped us to structure the context and the prompt. And then, I just played with these tools a little bit. And at the end, we had super long context prompt. And my last step was that I uploaded our system prompts, compare it, just copy-paste the OpenAI guides for prompting. And this way, basically, we fine-tuned all the prompts and context. And this is the way I just, put it together and gave it to my colleagues. Now I have this, knowledge toolkit and Amy conversations in Cursor. So whenever I need anything, I just ask. And since the context is there, it is amazing. It's like expert, having expert next to me. This is how it looks. So basically, this is how Amy works. And it took me, 5 to 6 hours. And my goal is basically put down my knowledge, because I believe that the future is to, implement your expertise and domain expertise into AI agent. And it cost me $6 in API costs, which is great. I always, during these sessions, I built a couple tools for myself. I vibe coded one tool for analysis of batch analysis of hundreds of files and CSV files, and also knowledge toolkit, which is just some scripts in Cursor that can just do basically anything for me now. And this took me just 1 day or 1.5 days. And this is, I think, the future of no work, because most work was done not by me but by AI. One more prompt that I use, it's called Conductor of Expertise, and I love that prompt. It's designed that if you give it a task, especially with some context, it creates 5 or 6 expertises, and those people then discuss together what you want to discuss. So at the end, I uploaded the description of what I did and asked, okay, so it's called Analysis of Opportunities. I need to come up with a new name. And then you see how the best people in that field, here Seth Godin and April Dunford, are talking about that. And this is how I came up with a new term we are trying to coin and use, which is called the superpower professional. What does it mean? It's the combination of tools and how people use them. So what do we see at the companies? There are 5 levels of how people work with AI. So most people are here, but not enough. Not enough. They don't know how to prompt. They don't know how to use advanced features of these tools and so on. They don't know the differences between models and tools. So I would say that we are still here. Some people already play with assistants, GPTs, project gems, or as Microsoft calls them, agents, but assistants. And I think it's a good second step, because this is the first systematic, way how to build something that I can repeat. And then there are people who are vibe coding and scripting, even in large corporations, because they can, if they have IT that is using GitHub Copilot, they can ask for Copilot. So we work with people from finances and other departments that want to know how they can use these, programming tools. And of course, automation, Make, of course, and then just agentic workflows. But this is not important. What's more important is how people use that. So I think that I came up with the best ideas exactly the way I showed you, that I brainstormed, that I have these mega prompts, conductors of expertise and so on. I know how to build context. So this is now my biggest fun, I would say. And then, of course, learn how to do things better and how to scale anything you do from creation of social media content to products. We had 6 weeks program, vibe coding summer, and it's amazing to see what people can build when they combine the vibe coding and automation like Make. And if you combine those things, you can build stuff. So what I see are the biggest opportunities now is if you have good domain expertise and you add AI. There are still just a few people, and I think that in the future will be about small teams and AI, of course, but there will need to be people who are able to, build agents and evaluate them and build context and so on. Also, and this is something we are looking for, people who have technical knowledge, but they think business. This is huge. And I think these people will just earn so much money, even if they will not work at a startup, because this is a gold. And all people in all companies will need to combine somehow. So with our clients, we discuss hiring strategy a lot, as I said, and something that we see is that from data to automation, everything will be democratized. So the IT will just take care of the governance and of the systems, and then all these things will be built in those departments like HR, sales, and so on. So it will require a completely new skill set. Also, what we try to do is that we now combine human work with AI. So we don't build tools, we sell services. And we don't tell our clients if they will get this service from AI or humans. This is how you can get much better margin, of course, but we combine it somehow. And of course, in the future, it will be, I hope, 100% AI. Now we have amazing margins because we can just deliver huge value when we combine humans with AI. And then and I'm not talking about tools and services, but basically replacing traditional delivery of products and services with setting agents and consulting that will be done by AI. And we see that that is already starting to happen. There are some new marketplaces, and I'm sure that there will be another speakers talking about that. So last thing, our approach to AI first mindset. Maybe you saw some of the famous startups that declared that they want to become AI first. What's interesting that even technology companies and the CEO of tech companies, they say that they are not using AI enough. And even programmers and IT people are not using it enough. Quite the opposite somehow. So some of the CEOs said, okay, so red alert, we need to be using AI more. They came up with some principles. So what you can see is that basically is expected of everyone. It's a lot about learning and sharing the knowledge. That's why what we do is that every second week we organize, it's called AI Morning Show. So everybody is sharing how they use AI, and we stream it on YouTube. And also many organizations now, divide basically fast projects, experimentation, and then building it traditional way. As one of our clients says, I think the goal is to get as much experience as possible, because this is the only way how to discover basically what AI can do, and then you can imagine what you can do with it. And we have also this AI first principles. And it's amazing because it's not only product people or people who talk to clients, but even my PA, my personal assistant now is using AI for scripting. And then when I send her some data to clean, so in 30 minutes, she said, okay, I use scripting and GPT for doing that. And this is just amazing. So thank you very much. If you have any questions, I will be here so you can get in touch with me. Thanks.
Thank you, Filip. Very insightful indeed. So I already have like 5 questions I would like to ask you, but it's really unfair. So let's, leave it to the guests. In the beginning, we didn't have the poll open, so I apologize for that. But now if you scan that Slido code again, you can actually keep submitting questions. Brett, would you mind showing us, if you can, the results of the little intro poll that we have there? So before we proceed, let's look at how are you feeling today? And I see that actually most of you are feeling awesome. That's great. Hopefully we'll be feeling even more awesome after you hear the amazing content. I need a beer. Yeah, me too. So let's listen to two more talks. And why did you come? There is a second question. Yeah, what's the main reason you are here today? You find the topic interesting, and you're very excited about that. So it's also very nice to see that some people came because of Make. Thank you very much. Okay, cool. So the next talk is going to be from two of our own. I would like to invite Jorge and Pepa to the stage. They are members of our applied AI team. These are the guys behind the Make Agent platform and the Make Agent. And they are going to talk about how to take an idea to a prototype with an Make AI agent very quickly in minutes. So the stage is yours, guys.
Okay, so hello everyone. I would like to welcome all of you here again. I'm Josef. There's Jorge right over there who's going to present with me. And today we're going to show you how you can take an idea to POC with Make AI agents super fast. So first off, we're going to say who we are. I mean, Martin spoiled it a little already, but I guess I'm just going to repeat it. Then I'm going to touch on the dream versus the reality of building AI agents, because everyone keeps hyping up AI agents. It's like the best thing ever, but the reality is often disappointing. Then we're going to show you how we can help you reach the dream. And in the end, we're going to demo everything so that you know that it's actually real and we didn't just make it up. So we are from the Prometheus team at Make, which handles pretty much the vast majority of AI stuff that you can see on the platform. For example, the Make AI agent, which is what we're presenting here, which is a platform to be able to build AI agents super easy with Make integrations. Make AI toolkit, which is like a toolkit with utilities to use when you use LLMs. And the Make AI Scenario Builder Assistant, which helps you to set up scenarios, answers questions, helps you like debug stuff if something breaks. And then much more of the products, but it didn't fit onto the slide. So these are the three of the most important ones. And we care about mostly empowering makers. We want to enable everyone to build with AI super easily and intuitively. There are still some barriers that you need to climb over if you want to develop with AI, and we're trying our best to make these as little as possible so that everyone can create their own automations with AI agents and stuff like that. So there is this dream versus the reality of building AI agents. So we've all heard the promise of AI agents. I mean, it's 2025, it's the year of AI agents, or at least AI agents marketing, and they are meant to be our ultimate assistants. But then if you try to build one, you hit walls of complexity pretty fast. And that comes when you have to take care of like RAG, so actually fetching relevant information, or you have to maybe pick the correct provider and model, and then something doesn't work. You have to deal with history, you have to deal with correct tools that you want to connect to it, and it's all just kind of not there yet. That's where we come to help. So the dream is to automate some complex tasks that you don't really want to be doing. But in reality, the agent is oftentimes just clueless about your custom requirements, and you end up manually debugging it for longer than the amount of time you're actually trying to save. So it's kind of counterproductive. Secondly, you would expect your agent to be able to understand and reason your custom requirements, but because it's missing this context and the tooling, it's often not as smart as you think. You would like it to interact with your apps, so you don't probably want to be in some specific app, like I don't know, Make or some other platforms to interact with your agent. You want to invoke it through Slack, or you want it to be able to read your emails, and you want it to be able to integrate with pretty much everything. But it's hard to configure these without any third party. And last but not least, you want it to have your custom knowledge. So maybe you want to be able to upload like company internal documents or some guides or like books, and then the agent to be able to retrieve only what's relevant to each query to minimize on costs and to make the prompts as good as possible. But when you try to implement this manually, you quickly run into vector databases, embeddings issues, stale data, and some other problems. So we did what we do in Make, and we turned these complex AI concepts into simple, powerful building blocks. We've created an environment where you can focus on what the agent is doing and not necessarily how it's set up. And today we're going to show you our 4 superpowers that we've implemented to make this possible, and then we'll live demo the agent that's actually using all 4 to show that he's like really smart. So the superpower number 1 is an effortless AI connection, which is an issue that arises before you even start developing an AI agent. And that is just choosing the provider, because there's like a bunch of them, and like it's hard to orient yourself in that. Each provider has a bunch of models, and models are in some ways different, right? Some are faster, some are slower. There's like different context windows. Some can work with tools, some can't. And you can get like a decision paralysis before you even start going. So you can forget about API keys and the model paralysis, and you can take the easy way out with our offering, which is just small, medium, and large models, which are our in-house models. And you just know, okay, I have a relatively simple use case, I'm going to use the small model, or I have like a super complicated use case, maybe I want to use the large model. It takes literally like 5 seconds to set it up. You don't need to go to documentations and like dashboards to go for API keys, and you don't really care if it's like a Mistral model or like a Llama 3.170 billion parameters or whatever. So it suits the use case, and that's everything that you need to know. But for the pros, so that you know that like we're actually offering everything, you can also bring your own key and connect it through various providers like, of course, OpenAI, Anthropic, Gemini, and then Azure Foundry with all of their OpenAI models and all other models, and Bedrock, and Vertex, and Mistral, and XAI, and Cohere, and Grok, and then it started overflowing. There's some more options below that. Our superpower number 2 is the living knowledge, because an AI agent is only as good as its knowledge, as we heard in the previous presentation. And we've made the retrieval augmented generation, or RAG, super easy. You can just upload the files by drag and dropping them into the UI. It can be pretty much in any format. It's like PDFs, docs, TXT, readmes, whatever. And the agent automatically fetches all the relevant data. And this knowledge base is actually super easy to update if you combine it with just a simple make scenario that could look like something like this, where you have a folder in your Google Drive, for example, with all your Google Docs, let's say of your company, and it would watch the documents, and on every update, it would get the content and automatically upload it to your knowledge base. It would take care of all the chunking, of all the vectorization, and everything that comes with it. And you can make sure that your agent is always up to date, is never using stale data, and kind of grows with you. Our third superpower is something that Make is actually famous for, which are the limitless integrations, because an agent that cannot do things is pretty much just an LLM wrapper. It's not really an agent. And if you can't interact with the agent, it's more of a conversationalist. But if you can, and if it can actually take on some tasks, it's more of a team member. So you can connect it to any of the 2,700 plus apps Make has at this point, and you can make it like update your CRM. It can send emails, it can send messages, it can update Jira, create, I don't know, pull requests, anything, and it can be at the center of your workflows, actually doing things. There are 3 levels of action and integration to this. First of the atomic actions, which is when you want to define super granular tools, which would be literally 1 module per tool, and you would be prompting your agent to send an email using Gmail about something, or using Trello to maybe create a new task. Second level of this would be goal-driven actions, which is maybe for more power users or users that were using Make before we introduced AI agents, where you can use your existing scenarios and you can invoke scenarios that have like more than 1 module, like, I don't know, 5 or 10. And you would invoke them with execute the new client onboarding workflow prompt, or maybe like create and publish a new post where it's like use case focused, and it would create and publish it on like Facebook and Twitter and whatever else you have configured there. And last but not least, you can also build hierarchies of agents with our agent-to-agent communication, where you have some generic agents, which can call, for example, a booking agent to perform the flight book, and the booking agent then has all the necessary tools that are only relevant to booking. and the main agent kind of doesn't have to care about that. So you have it separated by concerns, and it all makes hierarchical sense, and no agent is overflowing on unnecessary context. And last but not least, our fourth superpower, newest superpower, is the limitless extensibility with MCP, which is when you need a custom solution. So you could use this if maybe setting up your own scenarios is too cumbersome. Maybe you just don't use Make that much, and you simply want to connect to an MCP server, which is a lot of tools already prepared. Or you maybe cannot find the app you need. As I said, we have like 2,700, but they're not all. So some apps might have an MCP server that you can connect to without Make actually officially supporting them, if I say like that. And last but not least, if your use case is highly specialized, so maybe you just want to expose an endpoint in your business and you want a Make AI agent to be able to connect with it. If you expose it through MCP, Make AI agent can connect with it with MCP, so you can really bake it into your native workflows. So to sum it all up, this is how we bring an idea to POC. You choose a model that we offer, takes like 5 seconds. Then you use the living knowledge to keep your agent smart with uploading whatever files you need, takes like a minute. You set up all the tools with all of our apps and MCP, which takes like maybe 10 minutes. And last but not least, you can build it whichever way you like. Modularly, you can orchestrate workflows, you can create a hierarchy of agents. The limit is your imagination. So yeah, you can have an AI agent running in like 15 minutes. And to show you that we're not lying, there is a demo from Jorge.
Yeah, there is a demo, and of course, are you okay?
Yeah.
For any demo, we have the usual how to share the screen demo. The actual demo is I'm going on vacation. By the way, I'm the manager of the AI team. I'm going on vacation, and my plan is to go to Japan and have my middle-age crisis there, as probably everyone. So that doesn't mean that I cannot help the team while I'm on vacation, right? That's the whole idea of AI, right? So basically, what I was trying to build for this demo, I thought, okay, what I usually do in my dailies or weekly, that could be easy tasks that I could duplicate in an agent. And first of all, I thought that the easiest way to integrate anything that I will build will be in Slack. So what I did is usually in Make to integrate your agent or whatever in Slack. So I did that, and so basically I created an agent that is not intrusive, that is like constantly annoying you. It only will answer like this is by the way, it's using my account. So when people start to talk with me in channels or direct messages, and only use sudo because I don't want to be annoying, right? I will start answering or doing some of my daily or weekly tasks, right? Not all of them because I want to keep my job when I go back from vacation, but the usual ones. So I asked Jorge, what can you do? So it says like you can do Jira stuff like list epics, tickets, create tasks, assign people, perfect, cool. Do some status reports because I want to do that, right? Read and write in Google Docs. I will just, in a few seconds, I will show the simple power of this. Like, then send some Slack message, have some context memory, again, relevant in a few minutes. And yeah, some project planning, etc., etc. The first superpower, right? Make it simple, I would say. So, for example, I don't like the format of this answer. So I will ask the agent to remember, or Jorge, remember please, remember to answer me in Markdown format. So instead of having a complex, oh yeah, we will do like whatever, I will just use a Google Doc to take notes, right? That's what I usually do also. So I created an agent that is able to write notes to a Google Doc and then read them. So it's pretty simple. The power here is that I can say preferences. If there is a discussion of a team, right, that they're discussing some topic while I'm on vacation, they can say, sudo, mention this to Jorge later. So it will be saved to notes. And we can build, with this approach, we can have a simple, place when I can dump text and the agent can remember important facts for the future when I go back or the actual situation. We will see that in a few seconds. Okay, so that's done. I will not stop for, oh no, I will show it maybe a second. This is the general notes. I have a few one, and this, for example, is the last one that I appended. It's just like an append saved here, and now every then whatever happens, it will be a new record that it's very helpful. So my team doesn't have access to me, my other me, right? Of course, but it can make me remember or change my behavior on this. It's very simple but very powerful, though. Okay, so I have my cheat sheet here. So I did the first two. So the second thing I want to do is, sometimes a team member or several team members are having a discussion about some, hey, where, about some work, and they usually want tickets, Jira tickets about that, right? And I usually am the one that goes and creates the tickets and assign the people, put the priority, links, whatever. But I will not be there. So this case, for example, is just in this channel. I'm listening to this channel, and Pepa said like, hey, I noticed a memory spike. Let's create a ticket about it, and let's put it in this fake epic. So I will, answer. This is just before the agent. This is a simple make a scenario telling that yes, I hear your response, and I'm calling the agent. While this is being called, because we don't have a lot of time, I will show the next simple case that I want to do, and then we can go back to the Slack. Now I want to jump to how I build it, right? And the superpower that we want to do, of course, is make things simpler. So we build a side panel. I call it side panel, but it's AI agents, right? Here, that you can put your system prompt. You can manually upload context files. You can integrate your MCP, and you can create your own tools using Make apps and modules, right? And you have a left side chat panel to debug whatever you want to do. So let's use it, and I want to show my next task that I want to achieve, quotes my other self, during vacations. Sometimes people ask me about, we have a learning budget in Make. By the way, we have open positions. We have a learning budget there, and people ask me sometimes, hey, can I expand this to a learning budget? How much is my learning budget per year, whatever? So let's test that, right? Hey, I just bought a new JavaScript book. Who buys books yet? One, good for you. And two, good. Book. Can I expense it? How much can I spend per year? Something like that. The idea here is that, these management questions and others, not so simple, right? I want my team to be able to easily, have at least an initial answer that makes sense, and get them through the first, link, and make their work easier. So in this case, what we are doing is, the agent is going through this knowledge base that I will talk a little about later here, that I put some Confluence pages together, and I just dump it there in the agent. And yeah, this is correct. Like, we have some budget, and sorry, but there is no carryover fund. So sorry, Pepa. Your last year funds are not usable this year. Cool. So yeah, that's that. Let's see for a second if I created a ticket for Pepa. Yes, I created a ticket with a valid link. Yep, this works. And the summary makes sense. Yeah, I'm doing my job correctly. Yeah, I'm asking you to check the heap. Makes sense. You're the reporter. Yep, makes sense. This is done. priority highest. Yep, looks good. So done. So cool. Let's go to the final one. The same way I want to answer messages to my team members, I want to answer messages to other managers or even my boss, right? Let's create a new chat. So sometimes people ask me, what's the status report of some ticket, some project? Give me a summary of the last week. Suggest tickets to be created, etc., etc. So as you can imagine, for this query, the agent will try to use several information sources, I hope. And that means like the context, all the Google Docs that it can read. And I think, contact Google Doc. And maybe, and also it will go through Jira, sorry. We'll pull all the tickets of that epic. First, it will have to find what epic key it needs to find. And it will use all that information to answer my question, right? While it's doing that, I want to point out how easy it is right now to update this context, right? I want to share the scenario that I did in a few minutes to show how context is ingested every Monday, so weekly, to my agent. So what I do is just I have a list of Confluence pages that I iterate. I download the whole page. I join the page without even caring about the structure or whatever, and I just in a huge blob, I just send it to the agent. I just need to point to what agent I want to send this information, and that's that. It will create or update this contact file, and will take care about all the chunking, embedding, or weird voodoo magic that is behind. And will make it available for me to query, like for the agent to query at any time. The second thing, if somebody's wondering, I'm using the simple agent model provider. So I have 3 options for the model that I can change in any time or shape. I can even with this chat figure out what's the correct model I want to use. But usually I start, because there are several tools, I decide to go with large. But then if I want to maybe save some money or make it faster, I would try the medium. But for me, it's fine. Let's see. Yeah. We have. Yeah, makes sense. There are some tickets of course, everything here is fake, right? The context is like makes sense, but yeah, I create the fake tickets for this demo. And suggested tickets are for some moderations, vertex, and the memory. The memory that you created. Cool. For the spike, and do more work after the spike. Cool. So with this, I have shown the I would say the main task I want to my other self accomplish on vacation, and we'll go back to Pepa.
This, by the way, took us like 3 hours to set up roughly. And when we hook it up to the real data, we actually really use it in our day-to-day use cases. It's actually a perk to get access to the bot so that you don't have to write your tickets yourself. And after 3 hours, it already answers faster than Jorge and also writes proper ticket descriptions. So it's just a win.
Nobody puts ticket description. Come on.
Okay. And we're just like scratching the surface here. Like the tools themselves was super simple. They were not that many. It was just a simple agent. So the only limit to what you can actually build is your imagination. This doesn't work. So and have to. So let us know what you will build. And last thing, we have some open positions in the team, so you can reach us after the presentations. This QR code leads to LinkedIn, and there's like QR codes all around. If you want to come along for the ride of building AI stuff in Make, it's really fun. So I would invite you to do so. That's all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, guys. Jorge, since you have this nicely automated yourself now, we need to talk about like what's the next thing you can do. Please answer me in Markdown.
I can paint.
Great. And the last speaker today is Jan Čurn. Jan Čurn is the CEO of Apify. You probably are familiar with Apify. Is an cloud platform for AI agents, web scraping, and browser automation. And I just took it from their website. And Jan is going to talk about agents that pay. Wow. And that's going to be mostly about a new emerging economy where agents can purchase services or they can even pay to other agents. So I'm very curious.
So I'll start my presentation with a question. How does intelligence emerge in biological systems, right? So first, like, what are biological systems? It's like a lot of cells that, end up like, specializing and doing like different things. And like over the like millions of years, some of these cells learned how to like grow these like cables called axons to connect to other cells and communicate with them, right? So like individually, like each cell is like pursuing its own interest, but it's like the mutual interaction with like previously like unknown like colleagues, if you will, leads to this emergence of behavior that over time and over millions of years we call intelligence, right? So it's like these like small units, their mutual interaction is actually able to provide to drive car and things like that. So how does intelligence emerge in markets, right? Like a lot of people say like, oh, market thinks that, market is reacting to this, right? It's kind of like we talk about markets as like some living entity or like something that is like higher intelligence than like some of the individual parts, right? Well, it also emerges like by mutual interaction of like different market players or who also in turn pursue their own interest. They are not like trying to like fulfill like some higher good, they are just like trying to make money, but in the process the market actually exhibits like emergent behavior, like emergent intelligence that is probably higher than like any individual player on the market, so that's why we say market thinks and so on. And how does intelligence emerge in companies? Well, obviously on Slack, right? When people like pursue their own interest, how to get their projects done and interact together, okay? This is a bit provocative, right? Obviously, companies are not intelligent, actually most of them, right? Except for Make and Apify. So my question is, more like philosophical one, is like, how might general intelligence emerge in computing systems, right? And maybe, what if it's like by interaction of many entities that can pursue their own interests and their collective behavior like will lead to artificial general intelligence, right? And these entities is something we call agents, right? So maybe AGI will not be created in some like big lab, with one big model, but maybe by interaction of many of these models who pursue their own interests and their own actions, right? So maybe. So today I'm gonna talk about how to build such an ecosystem, basically, of interacting agents, and ultimately how what technologies are currently available to build such ecosystems, right? And I think like this has been exciting year, like a year of AI agents, definitely. And actually, just last year, there's this like new standard for agentic interaction called MCP, right? And like it's been like rapid progress over the past year. And now we also see emergence of this like agentic economy built on top of the MCP, right? So I think we are really at exciting times when the agents or AIs can suddenly interact with each other, right? So this is what I'm gonna cover in my talk. Maybe just out of curiosity, how many people here know Apify? That's a pretty good number, thank you. When I ask this question in San Francisco, I get like 10% of hands. Here is pretty good, So Apify, just quickly, we provide a marketplace of 7,000 tools we call actors, right? We started like 10 years ago. The word agent wasn't very much used back then, so we just went with something else. And actually, some of those actors are built by us, some are built by our community, and actually most are built by our community. And they, historically, most of these actors were, covering use cases for web scraping, right? Like how to extract data from websites, So for example, you need data from social media, they don't have an API, so you can amplify it, and get, the data from their website, right? Or from e-commerce sites, or, from lead generation, like online maps and so on. So we have like actors covering like really like a ton of different use cases, it's very like long tail marketplace of different things. And like more than like 99% of these actors are actually built by community developers who can like, build their own and publish them and actually eventually make money on it as well. So for example, we have a scraper for Google Maps. Google provides a API, it's called like Google Places API, but it's very limited, really like to get the juicy stuff, you need to open the website, right? So we have a crawler for Google Places and or Google Maps, and actually you can use this actor from code directly, right? We started as a programming platform like for developers, so you could like use API to connect to these actors and use them for use cases, plug them into your workflows and so on. But obviously over time we grew, like with the emergence of these workflow automation tools like Make, of course. I will not name the others for the respect, for the host of the party. We have connectors to many of them. So you can easily actually use actors from these workflows like in Make and plug them into your business operation really. And we've seen customers like building like incredible workflows in these. This is maybe a story for later. I have like friend who is running his whole business on Make and pays like $20 per month, and making like a lot on it. So I'm like, it's a really good value. And you can also use actors from AI agents or AI tools, right? And now, last year in November, Anthropic launched MCP, Model Context Protocol, which is like a protocol that enables, models to interact with tools. It's like from like agent to tool protocol, but actually, what is tool? Tool can be also agent, right? So it can allow like even like agentic interaction, really. And MCP like took the AI world by storm, and now we have like thousands of different MCP servers and many different clients and so on. And it's still very early, but it's extremely promising. And compared to previous approaches like open API, function calling, and so on, MCP has like one wonderful thing that like not many clients still support, and it's a tool discovery, right? So basically, you can like have a tool on the MCP server that the agent calls, which is like lets you find new tools and add them to the context dynamically, and this way you can like dynamically discover more and more tools as you go. And actually, this is like quite exciting because let's say if we have like marketplace of 7,000 tools, there is no way in the world we could like put them in the context of the LLM and say like, oh, just pick any of them. Like no LLM can handle this like amount of context, or it will like cost a really lot of tokens. But we can provide a tool called find actors, right? So this MCP's client can call, oh, is there actor for that? Be like, yes, there is. Oh, okay, add it to the context, and then like the client can start using it, right? And this way it can dynamically discover iteratively, and find new tools for its use case, right? And this is really exciting. And so the tool discovery is like a huge thing. Not many clients support it, but this is really the principal difference from like open API function calling, because that's static, but MCP is dynamic, right? So that's very exciting. And obviously, so we added support for MCP. We are on the MCP server and so on. But actually, MCP like quickly became over the past year like standard for like agent to tool or agent to agent interaction. Like it overtook like open API by huge margin. Google's A2A, which is like agent to agent protocol, and IBM actually has their own version, which is called ACP, which is Agents Communication Protocol. I think those two are gonna merge, in an attempt to overtake MCP. But I think MCP really became the de facto standard for this kind of thing, and it became so popular over the past year that like thousands of companies publish their own MCP servers, and many companies publish their MCP server registries. Because there's so many servers, you need to have a control like list of them. So our friends from a company called Mastra AI, which is like Agentic platform, they built MCP server. They actually built a registry of MCP server registries because there are just so many registries anymore. And actually, Anthropic is launching now their official MCP server registry. So it's becoming like really like ecosystems, or something like NPM, or different package managers for like MCP servers. So it's like really easy to discover those servers and plug them into your workflows. So if those thousands of tools now support MCP, So agents can access any of them, right? Right? Well, not quite, because for the agent to access the tool, you still need API token or like, OAuth authentication or just authenticate, You can't just like plug any service to Make. You really need to like add a connection first, right? In most of the tools, right? So, even though like MCP supports dynamic discovery, the clients still don't, because there is no way for them to sort of like perform the authentication to the target services, right? So let's say if you want to use, I should have put Make here, but let's say you still need to like add the connections, before you can actually make these agents discover new tools. So how can we solve it? Or maybe before I get to this, like, what are the use cases of this? Like, why should agents be able to discover? So I think if agents are to replace all the human jobs imaginable, and really became like a big part of the economy, well, they need to be able to get credit card, right? It's not like so they are not kids, right? Or well, maybe they are still, but really they need to get credit card and their like economic agency to be able to purchase services and say like, okay, I need this for my work, so I'll buy it and use it, And without it, really they are just limited in the range of use cases. So we can imagine, let's say we have like some deep research kind of agent, right? And you like give it like task, okay, now research for my vacation in Vietnam, right? And potentially like book something for me, or like in the future, like you can imagine this, right? Now I guess you wouldn't do it, but so eventually like the agent might discover, there is this like obscure like Vietnamese social network where the company like I want to go to, or the hotel has their profile page, and to get access to that I need to have an account there or something, right? So there are like use cases where the deep research agent might actually need access to new things that you didn't know before, and okay, they can ask you, give me access to this Vietnamese social network, and you're like, okay, but it will take a lot of back and forth. But you can imagine like where that, okay, you just give him like, this is like budget $100 and do your research, spend it for whatever, and it will come back with the answers, right? So currently this is not possible. So like solution, like how to fix it, right? So number one is like, let's agents subscribe themselves to the target services, right? So I think anyone who's building agents, especially the web browsing agents, will realize this is not possible, right? It's just like to go through the sign up flow, fill all the details, get a verification email, put your credit card. Well, the agent would still need a credit card. Well, you can create a virtual one, but this will like this will fail, because we are still not there. And really, a lot of these services are actually optimized, so that only people can create accounts, right? So solution number two, well, how about having some central identity and payments provider, right? Some trusted authority where you would like charge $100 for the task, and the agent will have access to it, and then it can like spend it to the services that it discovers on the go, right? Actually, this is becoming over the past year like extremely interesting topic, So there's like a list of different like competing protocols trying to do that. I think the most famous now is like Coinbase with their X402 protocol. HTTP 402 error is like payment required. It hasn't been like really implemented, over the 30 years of the web. It was sort of like reserved keyword, and maybe in the future we will know how to accept payments, online and so on. But really now, I think Coinbase was like, okay, the time is now. We can introduce like solution for this HTTP 402 error, and build a protocol around it, right? I'll talk a bit more about it later. There's L402, which is kind of similar, but it's like more from, smaller team, not like a huge, company behind it. So I think they are more likely, not make it open, use standard. There's a company called Skyfire. Actually, it's our friends who actually launched before X402, but I think over time they will adopt the standard as well. Visa launched their intelligent commerce. It's really just like a service on top of the credit cards, right? Obviously, they're trying to make the credit cards, work even in the agentic future. But it's really mainly for simple interactions where you kind of like task your agent to buy shoes, and using your credit card, and then maybe ask you for permission to really buy it. MasterCard obviously launched something similar. It's called Agents Pay, but it's essentially the same as Visa. And then like it's a bit different. It's like Cloudflare launched this like pay-per-crawl protocol, and they want to also make it an open standard. in a hope, to kind of restore the balance, of the forces on the web, because the AI agents, when they access a web, to provide summary, let's say when you, ask something in ChatGPT, it can, open, 100 different websites, collects the summary, and provides you, just the output. And you don't go to those websites, right? So what is the motivation of these websites to write the content, the blog post, if they don't get the traffic, right? In the past, for like pretty much like one visitor, Google would like crawl the website twice. It was kind of the sort of the balance, that, if you write a blog post, for every visitor you get, like the Google will crawl it maybe twice. Now with ChatGPT is like 2000 to 1, so ChatGPT will crawl your content 2000 times before sending you one visitor. And Anthropic is like even 7,000 to 1. It's actually crazy, right? So basically, imagine if you're writing news articles and then you just never get any visitors, you can't sell ads. So why would you, even publish something, right? So Cloudflare actually wants to change it that by this like pay-per-crawl protocol. And the idea is like that the agents will have like, or ChatGPT account will be charged with some money and do micropayments, for every website to visit. So that, to motivate, the publishers to create content. So it's kind of agentic payment protocol as well. So there's like a lot of things happening around this space. It's very, very active, And just a quick example, this is like how the Coinbase X402 protocol works, right? So you call some tool or API endpoint, it returns you like HTTP 402 error, which is like payment required. So you kind of like add some payment header, which is like, some, address of some wallet on Coinbase or any other, actually, they are typically using stablecoins to implement these protocols. And then the server calls the facilitator, which is like Coinbase, verifies the token, say, okay, this is like valid. There's cash on this token, does the work to fulfill the request, and then ask Coinbase to settle and get the payment, basically. And then Coinbase internally stores the money on blockchain, whatever, and returns the response to the caller, right? And actually, honestly, before this, I always thought crypto's use cases are, mainly gambling, and buying drugs, on the web or something. But I think this is really a real use case, for crypto, because suddenly, there's low transaction fees, it's the transfers are irreversible, if you give your, agent credit card and then, the service can, well, and the owner of the agent says oh, this work wasn't good, I will dispute the transaction, nobody will support it, right? But with crypto it's kind of it's one way, you pay it, it's done, right? So actually I think this suddenly opens a lot of interesting use cases for crypto payments, and this is why all the crypto companies sort of jumped on this bandwagon, because they are we have solid use case now. When agentic commerce takes over, we are solid. So X402, I think we'll hear more about it per time. But there are problems obviously of these protocols, right? So launching a new payment system is incredibly difficult, right? It's like two-sided platform. We have the merchants, you have the buyers, right? And you need to have both use the same protocol, right? So, but it's tricky because why the merchants would adopt the protocol if no buyers use it, and why do buyers would adopt it if no merchants use it, right? So it's same problem, for example, that the credit card companies faced in the 70s, when they introduced credit cards, and the way they overcome it was they just launched it in one city, but the huge incentives, to really make it work, so they paid a lot of money, incentivize the merchants to get, to have the terminals, send the cards, free of charge to the customers with free credits. And basically they launched it, and this way they added more cities, more states, and eventually became global payment standard over 30 years. PayPal, the same thing. When they were really deploying the network, they were burning $100 million cash per month, just to give it the incentives for people to use it. And eventually it paid back, right? Now they are a dominant sort of e-commerce, payment system with monopoly effectively, and the service is super shitty. Nobody's gonna replace them because they have mode, they have the market, they have the capacity. Same with crypto, right? It took maybe 10 years for Bitcoin really to become adopted really, and I think it was mainly because this was the element of the people who were on it were becoming the advocates of it, because they were making monetary value by more people using it, So it was very smart scheme how to deploy such a payment system, right? But it's incredibly difficult, So these platforms this will actually face this issue, the payment protocols. So we have solution number 3, right? How about like having an open marketplace of tools, that kind of provides a bridge between the agents and the legacy sort of platforms, that are still paid, by the credit card and an API token, right? And actually, this is like what Apify really is, it's a marketplace, where, you can publish, a service or, an actor for some tool. The user pays to you, and you pay to the target service, like for the API token. But you kind of like cover it as a like individual developer or company, and now, you can like publish, services like that or actors for services that are not even cooperating on the other side, right? So how it works, like, you can build an actor, it can run the code itself, or wrap an external API and pay for it. You add like some price tag on the service yourself, and then, you just pass the money as a developer to the target service. And suddenly that service becomes available on this like, marketplace, and any agent that has access to Apify can suddenly use it, right? So this is like very good incentive for the developers, like to publish for things on Apify. And, as long as we support all the integrations and all the agentic payments platform and so on. Or actually, you can even republish an external MCP server. There's a lot of MCP servers for which you need an API token as well. So you can actually republish it because MCP server allows, MCP protocol allows this like dynamic discovery. So you can just like take a single MCP server, republish it, in other server. It's like it's called like MCP like nesting capability. And voila, the person who has access to your server can access the third one, and it kind of just works. So the actor charges the user, and the developer pays the external API or MCP server. And actually anybody can do it, even without the external service knowing, right? So this is actually what we're working on now, to build such an ecosystem of like MCP tools. Really, our goal is to build like the world's largest marketplace of MCP tools, and make it like AI native in a sense to really be easy to connect, to all the platforms, all the, makes of the world, and, MCP and so on. So now quick demo, right? So I go to Apify store, and actually we have an actor. It's called MCP client, and because like the MCP clients, well, the ecosystem is still super early, right? So a lot of the MCP clients don't support for example, the discovery capability. So we built our own client that supports it, right? And pretty much everything can run as an actor. So we built it, made it an actor. So it starts the server. I open it here. Increase the size. All right. So now this is an actor connected to Apify MCP server. So this is like LM client connected to Apify MCP server, and with access to those 7,000 tools, right? So let's say some of the tools are already like available in the context, right? So we have like fetch actor details, search actor, call actor, and I think there's like one tool called RAG web browser, which is like, does a Google search, crawls the results, and puts them in context. So let's say, give me details of Make It Agentic meetup in Prague. So now the LM decides, okay, which tool I'm gonna use. We'll call the RAG web browser. I'll increase it a little bit. So it calls it like with Make It Agentic meetup Prague. That sounds like a good Google search query. So there is some result. Okay, here's some information. All right. So based on the search results, I found details about the Make It Agentic meetup in Prague. So location, I think everything is actually pretty correct. 30 people, sounds about right. All right. So now something more tricky. Is there an actor for scraping Google Maps? Well, let's see. So now it will call, hopefully, this MCP tool called Search Actors with like Google Maps scraper. It will find something. Okay, there's like 5 of them. All right. Great news. I found several actors. Okay, so use the first one to find pups on the street of the venue of the event. Let's see. So I think first now it will, it will call the actor with, okay, first it will get some info about the actor, like, for example, what are the input parameters for it. Okay, something happened here. And now it calls the actor with the right input. It's like search pubs, location, Menslova, max places 10, minimum stars 3. Okay, that's a solid solid 3 pub. Let's see. These demos can get funky sometimes, because you just never know what the LM will hallucinate, or something stops working. I hope. I think something is happening there. Obviously, it takes time because like now, the actor accesses like Google search, Google Maps, parses the results, shows it, and so on. Typically, it's much faster. So this is the moment, when I regret I didn't record this. But let's give it a chance. I think it's still running. Okay, let me see. Runs. Oh yeah, okay. It's still running. It takes time sometimes, because I think it's maybe scraping too many places. All right, finished. Very good. Success. 222. And now let's see. All right. So Uzdy, Oclářka, Kolčavka Brewery, Prague 9. Actually, it seems it could be somewhere nearby. Pretty good. All right. So I could like keep going. So is there an actor for scraping Twitter? And you get a picture now. Basically, like the user or an agent like dynamically discovers tools and uses them for the job, based on the situation, right? And yeah, okay. So I can just give it last shot. Okay, use the first one and give me last tweet of Make. All right, and for example, like if you're like trying to use API to get Twitter data, it costs like $42,000 per year, right? So it's like basically impossible. But you can get the data from the web, because it's publicly available most of the time. So we can call the actor make HQ, so it's about right, and it works, right? Even without paying $42,000 per year. It's more like few cents for this job. All right, so let's give it one more second, see if it's still running. Well, it's running. So yeah. Okay. This let's see what happens. It will probably do something crazy because I can see a lot of weird tweets. It's still running. 650. Okay, now it got a bit funky, So anyway, you get a picture, right? Okay, so just to sum up, so anyone can publish these tools or agents as actors and monetize them on Apify. Actually, another motivation to do that is like we have about like 1 million monthly organic visitors, right? So we get exposure. It's like compared to like, for example, launching your micro SaaS, as a new website or something, you get traffic from day one. We get 140,000 monthly signups now. About 40,000 active developers on the platform. So there's already like audience you can tap into, and all the integrations we already have, out of box. And actually, the actors are now generating about $2 million revenue every month, right? So it's like, and I think last month we paid out to the creator community, to the external creators, about like $500,000. So actually the marketplace is like really like started spinning quite a bit now. So I invite everyone to, if you have some tools that you think might be interested, even for like niche audience, people anywhere around the world, looking for this kind of thing, just publish an Shopify, and you can actually make, nice income. All right, open questions. Will autonomous discovery provide real value? I mean, everybody who builds agents realizes, like, even if with a static set of tools, it's really hard to make them, do the job right? Do the evals, the tests, make it, tune the prompts and so on. So now, let's say if you throw like a million of tools on the agent, like, will it get better? Well, I think it has to, right? Either we believe like that the agents will get better and solve all the world's problems, or not, and we actually believe they will. So I think over time, agents will be able to handle discovery and more tools. How can agents trust those tools and each other, right? I guess that's a very, very valid question. It's like when you transact with someone, or economically buy something from someone, there needs to be some trust, right? Like this typically, if you buy from some service from some company, them, or you check their reviews, or something, or you check the pub on Google Maps, what was the ranking and so on. So you need to trust it before you buy something from someone. So I think the agents will need to also learn ways how to trust the tools, so there'll be like different sort of verification, or like network of trust and so on. But I think this is like solvable. And can autonomous agents interaction enable the AGI, really, with like millions of agents or billions of agents interacting together? Will like some higher level intelligence emerge? I guess we'll see. All right. So thanks everyone for your attention. And if you want to try our MCP server, it's mcp.atify.com.
Thank you, Enzo. Thank you, Enzo. Really good presentation. Very interesting. Now we will move to the Q&A section. We have about 20 minutes for Q&A before the meals are going to be ready. So I would like to ask all the speakers to actually take a seat here in the front. Awesome. And before we actually dive into Slido, and I have Gretja over there, the mastermind of and the puppet master behind the Slido control, I actually have a icebreaker question for you all. It's going to be very simple. Probably everybody knows the concept of the hype curve, right? Popularized by Gartner. There is this, innovation trigger, something new, comes up, and everybody is, expecting amazing things. Then at some point, we reach the peak of inflated expectations, and there is this trough of disillusion, and a slope of enlightenment, and a plateau of productivity. And that's a very typical, curve that many technical innovations follow. So, in your, view of the world, where are we when it comes to agentic AI? Filip, what do you think?
I think we live in parallel universes. So now with AI, everybody is at a different place. So I don't think it is valid anymore. So there are people who are advanced. There are people who just started. And I think it's not like other technology that, we just, everybody's in the cloud or, using mobile phones. So this is different. And I really think, what I say, that the future is here is not evenly distributed. So it really depends on a company or individual.
I see. So it's highly personalized hype curve.
Yeah.
What do the others think?
Okay. Well, I'm a long-term AI optimist, short-term bit of a pessimist. I think it's like the hype is huge right now, and now with the GPT-5 release, like everybody thought like it's gonna send us to moon, and suddenly it's kind of like it's
okay.
it's all right. But so I think now I heard like 5% of the US GDP now is like the investment into AI, right? Basically, so without that, the American economy would actually be in decline. So I think like there's definitely hype. It's like hundreds of billions of dollars being thrown around. And I think people realize, oh, we can't really sell that many cursor licenses. People are not gonna pay that much for it. So, but like the infrastructure will be built, the tools will be available. So eventually somebody might go bust, but the tools and the GPUs will be around. So I think that then we will hit the enlightenment.
I see, but there will still be the late majority, right? So I think might actually cater to what Filip said. Guys, what's your take since you are actually building AI agents?
You're looking at me, so I guess I'm gonna go now. I would say we're a little bit before the peak. I mean, yeah, as said, like GPT-5 release specifically was a little underwhelming, and I think that all of this in like monetary investment and stuff might not pay off that much. I think it's gonna take more time to actually build out all of these tools that we're like working on right now to make the AI and all the agentic hype train actually viable. So yeah, I think we'll before the peak, I think it's gonna slow down a little bit just for the developers and stuff to actually catch up and then actually deliver some real value later on.
Okay. Jorge, any
Oh,
ideas?
Okay. In my opinion, it really depends on the area of problems that you are trying to solve. I think that in a lot of areas we didn't reach a threshold or a critical mass that the aha moments happen. I think the first aha moment that we as a society lived when was the ChatGPT became, the free version was barely able to predict the next word correctly. And then it became a conversational agent and was able to have, I would say, above some threshold of usability. And that became massively popular. And this is not happening in a lot of sectors in the world, and it will happen. And I have goosebumps when this will happen in other areas that we are not even considering. But the tricky part is the threshold. Nobody knows, so it could be now, it could be never. Like it's really tricky. So yeah, I think there is some hype, but I think there is some reason behind the hype.
Thanks for the opinions, guys. Now we'll move to the questions from the audience. And I actually see the most upvoted one now is for the team number 2. Have you implemented any internal Make agent applications that aren't a POC and that regularly provide actual value to your company?
What's it?
I could say, for my personal opinion, I have been answering some emails to some messages to people without them knowing that I'm not answering to them. Especially, people don't read Slack channels. They don't know when to post the correct question and so I redirect them to the correct channel or to their documentation by a simple, very generic message. But and I have been running from the last 3 months, and people is like, Jorge, thank you, you're really helpful. Like, yeah, of course. I took time to build this for you, right? So you can post the correct question in the correct channel. So simple redirect, right? And regarding providing value, this agent that we build will be there. Like the team already has been using it, and it will be there. So I think it's beyond POC.
Maybe I can fill in a little bit more detail, right? We actually see different departments doing different things with it. We actually saw like some product managers to automate through an agent some tedious tasks. Like people are complaining that Jira tickets didn't have description, so they actually built an agent that kind of fills in more details. So that's one. We had an agent that is quite interesting to test for compliance, right? When you have some governance requirements and you are actually curious whether something has been in compliance with the internal processes, you built an agent that does that. That's quite interesting, but typically that's boring. And then apart maybe from the agentic space, we use a lot of workflows that have AI in it. It's not necessarily an agent, but it's actually some AI or LLM logic. We have an internal note-taking solution that we built. We have a lot of onboarding processes in HR. People, you want to say something?
Yeah, I have 2 more that you haven't listed. There's like one really good use case, but I cannot say it specifically because it's not public yet, even for the company. I just like talk to people.
Thank you for teasing.
So it's like really good, but it like helps you to follow specific guidelines when developing. If I say broadly enough, because if I say it specifically, the person's gonna be really mad at me, and I don't want that. To ruin the surprise. And we also had an internal hackathon a while back, and there were some cool agents that emerged from that. I know that there was a customer service agent that they were using to like help them debug like customer issues more easily. And I think there was like a general like deep research agent that was also at least reused multiple times. I'm not sure if it's still being used actively now to just like do detailed research onto fields where it would just take more time otherwise.
Yeah. So the short answer is yes, but people are actually discovering how to use it more, and sometimes that is actually a challenge, and they need help with that. Moving on, so that we also have somebody else talking. We have a question from Bohdan to the first speaker, which was Filip. Hi, how do you use AI for second brain and tips and tricks?
Okay, that's actually a very good question. So first, I use Evernote, which is super messy, and then I clean the info so I can put it to Notion. Since we have Claude connected to Notion, I try to think about it like that it needs to have descriptions for people and agents. So, for example, we have offices close to here. These are offices of our investors, and we have instruction if we want to, get to some room, we need to contact this person and so on. So, if we have it described, it doesn't matter if a real person or agent comes to the Notion because then it knows what it needs to do. So I think it's really about documenting things so agents know what they need to do. And I really now try to learn how programmers work, because it's really about, and I have in the cursor now some new rules that, for example, when I build the second digital brain for a new project, I always have readme instruction, then execution rules and so on. And then I try to document my knowledge. So this is really pretty time consuming. It can take a couple of hours. But for example, I talk to AI a lot. So I discuss my knowledge. I upload, for example, some transcripts of my presentations where I talk about the topic, and I try to build structured documentation of my knowledge. So basically, the key insights, how it works, the style I communicate, and the goal is that the next, for example, service. I am now documenting the superpowered professional concept, and when I want to add, for example, assessment, I try to build the new markdown file for how this assessment could look, and even the rules that if I add a new service, it needs to document back everything so it's really up to date. So for me, it's like documentation of a software or something else, but it's really connected to my knowledge work. And I think it really needs to be combined with some digital cleanup. So I think we can use AI a lot to clean the data, even the unstructured one, and make the structured one out of everything we know, and not to make it too messy. But it's pretty new for us, and I think we can learn a lot from software engineering. So I'm even copying some rules from Cursor, good engineers to implement, so Cursor can build my second digital brain on my behalf, and I just combine prompting with Claude because this is my favorite AI, and Cursor, they just builds everything. And I just need to, one thing that is a little catchy is that it talks a lot. So sometimes, it tends to create maybe too much information. So we need to make sure that they're just useful information that can be used by people or agent.
All right, very comprehensive answer. Thank you for that. Now the next one, are we taking the one that's most about it? Oh, okay. So we have another one, and that would be for Honza. How do you prevent bad actors from publishing malicious MCP tools on your platform?
That's a good question. We have different layers of verification. Obviously, all the creators need to sign the terms of the store. If they misbehave, we kick them out. We introduce permissions system to make sure those actors cannot do something wrong and so on. So we're trying to supervise the marketplace, but we're not like App Store to kind of review every app, because so we try to do it automatically by setting up the rules very well. But honestly, it's much more the question of the trust, in these marketplaces, and now with agents accessing those two tools, I think there's still need to be more work done, to make sure it's really safe and reliable, So, for example, what we want to do is only enable access to all the tools that are, for example, unverified, if the user opts in for that, but by default, to constrain it and so on.
Thank you. Next one would be for the Make crew, and it's a little bit more technical. how big is the difference in quality between the simple RAG that works for anything versus the one that you fine-tune, chunking, number of documents, etc.
Okay, that's an interesting question because we had to develop our in-house RAG for some like last year or previous year, I don't, some time ago, and then we developed this, and that question was always in our head about what are the benefits, pros, cons, and there is a takeaway. Like I would say there are three main factors that are affecting this question. The first one is 2 years ago, the maximum input context size of a model was 8K, maybe. So you had to really shrink your data to fit in a call. Now you have 500,000 tokens, or there are some models that have 1 million. So if you put it in perspective, an open app spec of the most common apps, like the 2,000 most common apps in the world, fit in all of the latest LLMs. So you don't need to do any type of processing, just like throw it there. So a lot of problems that before were you need a complex RAG, now you just throw it to the model. And the LLMs are getting faster and cheaper. So before maybe you would spend like $20 for doing that crazy talk, and now it's just like a few cents. So the importance of RAG is, on some cases, again, for some cases, is going down. At the same time, the way we are enable agents to interact with this different stack of technology. Example, you can read the jury tickets, and before maybe that was not easy, right, as a tool. So now you have tools, and before you only had text and RAG, right? But now you have tools, so you can only put in RAG when you don't have structure. Before you have to put RAG always. So what I'm saying is that the importance of a fine-tune and custom RAG that it was mandatory before, now is becoming only by use case when you have a big amount of data that still doesn't fit in your LLM. That could fit in the future because this input size will eventually continue to grow, and the size and speed of the LLMs will continue to grow. So, the big question is that worth in your case? So, and the main question before that, we have 4 superpowers, right? And trying this is almost free. So my recommendation is try this, and then if it doesn't work, try some variations of using our superpower, or any automatic RAG oriented solution. And then if that really doesn't work, use a fine-tuned one, because now the resource is your time, not the LLM consumption or cost or anything else.
I'll maybe just add on to that as Jorge said, we've been developing it for reusing what we've developed like a year and a half ago for some time. And we've met a fair amount of use cases over the time, ranging from structured data through unstructured data, through transcripts, through everything possible. And we found a good balance of our doc splitting and chunking strategy that works very well for just not any data, but the vast majority of data from our testing. So in that regard, also, it has helped us make sure that even this relatively simple approach to it yields good results.
Thank you, guys. Now, we have Vojta asking Hansa whether any companies are suing you for scraping their data. How is your relationship with Meta and others?
It's a fair question. No, they are not suing. Actually, we're doing scraping for 10 years, and we didn't have any single lawsuit, because you need to do it the right way. And actually, the status quo for scraping is now, if you scrape publicly available data, that means not behind login, it's typically allowed, right? Obviously, this is not a legal advice, right? It depends what kind of data. In your opinion, you have personal data and so on. You cannot collect them even if it's public. It's there are different levels, but in the US, the status quo is now scraping publicly available data is fair game. Behind login, you can be in a breach of the terms of service, which is something they can the sue you for damages, right? But historically, actually historically companies tried to, for example, use this Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, so they said, well, if you're scraping our website, you're basically hacking our system, which is criminal act. But like the course basically said, like, no, this is not like, the fact that somebody didn't read your terms is not criminal act, for someone to get into prison, it doesn't make sense. So now the status quo like moved to this, whether you're in breach of the terms or not. And that means like you have to accept the terms first to be in breach, right? And actually that kind of allowed us, to operate, right? Obviously we are trying to like not be only ethical, not only like legal, but also ethical, So that is like not overloading the target sites, not really like, scraping like the entire databases, right? So typical use cases are, for example, our competitors, they just like make copies of the whole Instagram, or LinkedIn, and we're like, well, you just run it for like some small batch, some like target result, rather than basically extract the entire database, right? So the answer is no.
Awesome. Next question from Tomáš.
I'm sorry, may I ask, do they contact you in order to, for example, discuss if they could sell the data through your service?
Yeah, sometimes, yeah. So we are getting like letters from we actually have fairly experienced legal team, to answer those letters, and we're like, no.
I guess that's
Read these rulings. No. And but like sometimes, there are situations where we're like, okay, the actors are not actually like acting, the most ethical way, and then we try to negotiate, why don't you sell us the API access, and then we could, make it work, the right way. So it's happening sometimes, yeah.
Maybe the legal team at some point can be augmented by a legal agent. Anyway, question from Tomáš for Filip. These workflows that you talked about work 90-95% of the time. And for consulting or creative work, it's great. But what do you recommend for products where we need reliability, which is 99+%?
Okay, this is a very good question. I think, it really depends what kind of a use case or scenario it is. So I think that here agents can play a very important role because they can, double check. You can make this loop using more models and so on. And even in creative and consulting, it doesn't work 95%. So it's less, and every new model brings new problems, even, for example, with languages and translations and so on. So it's really about playing with the models, finding out which one performs the best. Then I think it will be really about creating a loop agent, controlling the output of the agent. And then, of course, it's a question about where is the human in the loop. So maybe we will be, hiring people from, different parts of the world for a couple dollars per hour. But I think it's really, maybe the future is the combination of LLM and then LLM writing scripts and programming, because, for example, we work with a lot of financial institutions, and here using LLMs doesn't make sense. But what really makes sense is using it for programming, and I think it will be the combination. And we see that, for example, with Anthropic, what they are doing is they are making it more user-friendly, that if you ask a question, there is a new feature, then it writes the code, it performs the operation, double check if it's correct or not, and then gives you the answer. So I think it will be more and more user-friendly. And again, is the similar question like with the context window. It's just a matter of time, and we know that LMs will be better, and this won't be the issue for many cases.
Perfect. Thank you very much. We are at the top of the hour. And in order for the food not to get cold and the beer not get warm, we will wrap up the Q&A session. There is one more question I would like to answer, which we didn't put on Slido, but it was about recording availability. So there is going to be recording available. It is going to be published at the YouTube channel of Make, which is It's Make, in about 2 weeks. So definitely go check it out. And before we adjourn, we need to figure out who deserves the special swag. So Břeťo.
It's Richard.
Hey, Richard. Nice to meet you. Great. What do you do, Richard?
I'm a student looking for a job.
Nice. This is a great place to do that. So Clara has a little little something for you. Congratulations. Thank you very much. And with that, I would like to thank our speakers, Filip Dřímalka, Jan Čurn, Jorge Collinet, and Pepa Kousal. Thanks for spending the time here. And obviously, if you have any other questions or you want to just chat about anything, feel free to find them among yourself. Have fun. There's going to be food, drinks, and we are going to be here until 10 p.m. So we have some time to socialize. Thanks again. Enjoy.
Thank you.